it feels like it was only a matter of time before Dodge would make this decision. Even though they haven't done it officially yet, I'm pretty sure we're going to see the Dodge Charger with a V8 within a couple of years or so. And The Drive has interviewed Dodge CEO, and he sort of hints at that might be something that they're going to do now, specifically when they have a new leadership for Dodge, and Carlos Tavares, the V8 hater, is now gone. So we're going to have a look at his article from The Drive, and then I'm going to show you, we also have sort of an idea of what a V8 Charger with this design could look like from an independent designer. And I hope he don't mind. I hope he doesn't mind that I talk about his design here in this video, because I am a massive fan of what he did to redesign this into an old school looking V8 Charger. It just looks great. We're going to have a look at that later on in the video. So first of all, let's check out what Dodge CEO says here. So Dodge CEO strongly hints at return of V8 Dodge Charger, which, as I said, I felt like it was always on, on the table. So Dodge CEO Matt McAleer, I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm sorry if that's mispronouncing it. Says there will be powertrain variations to come on the Charger, and that a V8 is on the table if there is a business case for it. And when you think about it, I think there is a really strong business case for it. I know it doesn't only, matter if people want a V8. Of course, everybody who was a fan of a Charger want the V8 to be, of course, intact in the new 2024 version or Charger, but there is a lot more to it. You need to calculate costs, and you need to think about regulations and be compliant with all the rules and stuff that goes on, and that it changes from year to year. So it's a very complicated thing. You can't just slap a V8 in here and call it a day. So recently The Drive had an opportunity to sit down with the Dodge CEO, and one thing they asked, does he have anything to say to people wondering if the Charger's platform can physically fit a V8? And I do think we talked about that before. They're gonna have to do some changes to the firewall. I think that was the bottom line, and that is of course going to cost a lot of money and go into a lot of additional engineering, but I think it's gonna be worth it. I mean, come on. His response, you can read it in a few ways, but it's absolutely not a no. So if you look back, the CEO says, if you look back across the last generations, you go through the engines between the Charger and the Challenger and the Magnum. I just love the Magnum name. It's such a cool name. I wish they brought that back as well. So they started with a 3.5 liter V6, and then you have the 6.1 liter V8, 3.6 liter V6, 5.7 HEMI, of course, V8, 6.4 liter V8, and then a bunch of 6.2 liters for the Demon Red Eye and the Demon 170. And he also said that this is a multi-energy platform, the new Charger, that can accommodate all of that. So I guess he's saying that it can actually accommodate a V8 under the hood of the new Charger. And this is just the first year, and we've got 4 powertrains that outperform every one of the that they're replacing with standard all-wheel drive. It sounds like a good recipe for something cool here, and we're just getting started. We're going to have a lot of fun. I'm sure they're going to have a lot of fun. I mean, imagine. It would be a very, very fun project if you worked as a Dodge designer and the CEO came in, and yes, of course, guys, we're going to make, we made up our mind. We're going to make a Dodge Charger V8. So go ahead and take the EV Daytona and take the Hurricane Inline 6. Do something cool with the bodywork to make it look like it suits a V8. And as I said, we're going to have a look at one rendering here that is just insane to me how good it looks just in a minute. So the only thing I can say is that if history can tell us anything about the future with all those powertrains I listed off, we're always looking at ways to find best-in-class performance, to build on performance, and to push the boundaries. To me, that to me says there's going to put a V8 in there. And who knows where we go if the business case makes sense for a V8 and there is potential. So there was a CNBC report back in December about the end of Tavares' reign at Stellantis that said that the Charger was in fact originally meant to have a V8, but this is the first time a Dodge executive, let alone the CEO, has talked about an 8-cylinder performance car as anything other than part of the past. While the HEMI may be dying, it's not actually dead yet, because we still have the HEMI in the Durango, which surprisingly, if it's on for 2025, to me, the Durango has been around for a long time. And I think it's pretty cool that they're still keeping it. I guess sales are making sense. And they just want to keep the V8 alive for at least one more model year, at least this version of the HEMI V8. One of the things that's encouraging is that with the change of leadership, V8s are no longer a bad word around the company. And that is crazy to think about. Specifically a Dodge, that you can't really talk about V8 or suggest that maybe we should continue to, develop the V8s here. They couldn't really talk about that under Tavares. But now things are a little bit different, even though they still have to be compliant, of course. Just because there is a change in the administration right now, that's only a 4-year deal. He's talking about the president. So you have to be careful and balance it across the entire portfolio in the long run. It's not as simple as flipping a switch. Dodge learned this the hard way when it had to find a way to essentially uncancel the V8 Durango at the last possible second. So here it is. It still lives on for 2025. Very nice to see. I like it. I think cars in general, if you have a solid base, solid foundation for a car, an SUV or truck or whatever, I think they could live on for a little longer than what they're doing right now. And you saw that with the Challenger, by the way. I mean, the previous generation Challenger was around since 2008 up until 2024. I think they're sold up to 20. There's still some new unsold Challengers on the lot today. So then you have the emission regulations that you always have to update your engines for, and typically that's done from year to year, because anytime you have an update for emission, is just more money you have to put into it, and you don't want to spend money that you don't have to. And even if we were to say we wanted to do it today, quickly just pick an engine, a V10, a 4-cylinder, it's a 1.5 to 2 years development cycle to just bring out a new engine like that. So when I hear that, I'm pretty sure we're gonna see. I think they're gonna notice when it goes on sale right now, the EV version, and then you have the internal combustion engine coming a little later. I think they're gonna realize that the sales number are probably not what they expected it to be for the new Charger, and that is going to make this business case that the CEO is talking about valid, and is going to put. And they're going to slap a V8 in there within a couple of years or so. It would take at least a couple of years for a V8 Charger to hit the market. And here you can see the Demon looks like doing a wheelie. It doesn't even have the thin tires in the front end. It still does a wheel. It's just an insane machine. Imagine all the power being put down on this little surface of the rear tires. Insane tire technology and just how they put the power down on the ground. So with that said, let's have a look at this design here, because this is if Dodge built this thing with a V8, this I would buy myself, because this is a solid replacement for the legendary Challenger, the previous generation that I love so much. So designer envisions 2026 Dodge Charger SRT8 with the glorious HEMI, of course. The new electric Charger hasn't exactly blown reviewers away in terms of driving dynamics, but at least it looks the part. So I haven't driven it yet. I think I'm going to get a press Charger pretty soon, and I really look forward to seeing how that one drives. I really hope it's not going to drive just the same as, every other EV out there. I hope Dodge did something different to this to make it feel a little bit different. So for one designer, the new Charger isn't quite aggressive enough. So David Bayliss recently decided he wanted to imagine what a gasoline-powered SRT badge version of the new Charger could look like. So here we have it. It takes influence from the iconic 1969 Charger, and as well as the early Challengers. Like its classic predecessors, it features subtle headlight tucked behind the blacked-out grills with this amber light behind it, and I think it looks absolutely stunning. It looks super aggressive, and if you have a muscle car, you want to have it be aggressive, of course. The lower bumper and air intakes have also been enlarged. There is a new hood adding even more attitude. It takes inspiration from the previous generation Charger Hellcat. It includes a massive air intakes in the center and 2 air extraction vents on each side. You got flare wheel archers, giving it a wide planted stance reminiscent of the old Hellcat wide bodies. Changes at the rear are more restrained. I don't think they necessarily need to make a lot of changes to the rear, because the rear still looks decent. It looks very static, very horizontal, boxy, exactly like you want in a muscle car. So I understand why the designer here did not switch out that too much, but the front end just looks killer. And as they say here, this is an older article before The Drive talked to the CEO of Dodge, and here they say any future high-performance versions won't have a supercharged V8. Instead, it would rely on an amped-up version of the Dodge new 3-liter twin-turbo 6-cylinder, the Hurricane engine, of course, unless Stellantis' next CEO suddenly does a 180. So we just read what the next or the current CEO said about V8, so I think there is a potential here. So I just wanted to quickly show you this beautiful design by, let's see, what his name was again. I don't want to miss that, so I want to, if you want to go and check him out. David Bayliss, his Instagram is down here, David Bayliss Design, so go and check him out and give him some support for this beautiful machine that he created and designed. And what I love about this is it definitely feels like an old 60s design to me, and this is what I want to see from Dodge. This looks like a proper Dodge muscle car to me. I love the front end that he designed here with the headlights sitting behind these beautiful grille in the front end. You also have a much larger lower section here. You can see how boxy everything is. Everything's very static, and that is what we want to have in a muscle car like this. It just looks very cool. We have some organic features up top on the hood. I do love this Hellcat inspired intake in the front end. One thing that I would personally want to modify a little bit is maybe the wheel fenders here, the fender flares that stick out and create wide body. They look a little bit too static, maybe too small. I would want to have them be just stick out a little. Basically what we had on the old Charger Hellcats, the wide body versions, they were a little bit longer but didn't stick up as much as they do here, even though this still looks very, very cool. I mean, look at the rear end. We don't have a lot of changes in the rear end, but the thing that David changed here that makes this a completely different car is how he in fact added these fender flares on the side. You can see just how much more planted this looks now. And we also have, I do believe this is a new diffuser that he designed as well, and also we have a spoiler up top. But the key graphics here, they don't really need to change because they look a lot more static than they do in the front end, and that is of course again what we want to have in the in a muscle car like this. So straight front view and straight rear view, it just looks like an absolute beast. And I can hear, just by looking at these pictures, I can hear the noise and the rumble, what this could potentially look like. And can you imagine if Dodge put this out, something similar to this, like a HEMI V8 SRT8 Charger? That would sell like crazy, and I would be a huge fan of that car if they in fact decide to put a V8 in this, even though it's going to be interesting to see how the inline 6 Hurricane engine is going to feel like in this. But it's not just about the cylinder numbers. It's the V8 to me, the HEMI V8, you know, a 6-cylinder can never sound like a V8. It can never feel like a V8 with all these vibrations that you have, and you feel like you're waking up a monster when you're turning on the car, and that is what this car represents to me. So well done, David, on this design, and go and check him out on his Instagram. And I'm looking forward to see what Dodge decide to do with this new package that is the new Dodge Charger.